Before they called him a monster, he was just a man, a farmer, a father, a neighbor who greeted others in the morning as he led his horses to the field. But in the cold forests of Rhineland, every shadow has two faces, and every heart, two hungers. It was the year 1564. In the small village of Bedberg near Cologne, whispers began to rise. Of nights where the wind sounded like moaning, of an animal that left no human footprints, but whose eyes glimmered with reason, of a shepherd's body found in the woods torn apart like by a beast, and beside it, a child's small shoe. When fear becomes familiar, legends are born. And in this case, the legend was real. Peter Stumpp was known as a God-fearing man, a quiet widower who worked the land for years, always polite, always reserved. But beneath that silence, something was growing, like a shadow lengthening under the setting sun. He spoke of a voice that called to him, a voice not from this world, a voice that knew his name better than he did himself. By 1573, the first child disappeared, then another, then entire families who entered the forest and never returned. Only what the forest decided to give back was ever found: ripped clothing, claw marks, and blood on the moss. The villagers began to speak of a werewolf, a beast that walked on two legs when no one was watching. Eventually, after years of whispers and graves without bodies, they organized a hunt. Peasants, knights, even monks from a nearby monastery took up weapons and torches and marched into the woods. For days, they tracked something that always seemed one step ahead, until finally, in 1589, they caught the wolf. Large, gray, its muzzle stained with blood. But when they cornered it, they found not a beast, but a man. Naked, dirty, trembling. His eyes glimmering like polished steel. It was Peter Stumpp. At his side, they found something else. An old torn belt, made, they said, from wolf's skin. Peter confessed that it was a gift from the devil himself. That when he wore it, his body changed. Bones cracked, hands became claws, and his heart beat in rhythm with hell. I gave him my soul, he said, and in return he gave me power. The trial began on October 31st, 1589. Halloween, though no one called it that yet. He was questioned, tortured, questioned again. He never denied it. He spoke of 25 years of transformation, of the nights when the forest whispered his name, when he hunted not for hunger, but for pleasure. He described 17 victims, women, children, shepherd boys, and he claimed he was never alone, that sometimes the devil stood beside him, watching, whispering words that burned the air itself. Some thought he was insane. Others believed he had indeed walked too far into the dark. From the records that survived, Stumpp kept repeating one phrase: "I am not a man, I am what they fear." When the judges asked why, he said, "Because the forest understands me, because the night does not ask about sin." He spoke of his daughter, how he loved her too closely. He spoke of the child he had fathered with her, and offered to the one who gave him strength. The court fell silent. Some people screamed, others fainted. The priest stopped writing. There are stories that even the executioner looked away. The verdict was given on October 28, 1589. Death, but not a simple one. It was to be an example for anyone tempted by pacts and shadows. First, his body was broken on the wheel. Then his limbs were cast into the fire. And when the flames reached him, witnesses said, he smiled. His head was taken last, so that his eyes would see what the fire took away. And his last words were, I will not die while the night still has a voice. The sky was heavy that day, the air thick and still. People swore the dogs did not bark, and the moon refused to rise. After his death, they searched his home. What they found was worse than rumor. Bones, teeth, scraps of children's clothes, symbols carved into the walls in a language no priest could read, books on alchemy and transformation, on how man could become beast and beast become servant of hell. They said the belt, the devil's belt, was gone. No one ever found it. Some believed it burned with him. Others whispered that someone took it. And sometimes, late at night, they said they could hear it being fastened again. In the months that followed, villagers swore they saw him in the forest, not as a man, but a moving shadow between the trees, sometimes scratching at doors, sometimes whispering a name that only the wind could carry. And when the dogs howled, the mothers prayed, because if it was him, running would not help. For generations, the priests of Bedberg warned, do not walk the forest after dusk, for the night has eyes. Children learned that if they heard growling too close, they must not run but pray. Because the devil's wolf never chased, he waited. The chronicles say that Stumpp confessed by his own will, but anyone who saw the marks left by the rack knew otherwise. Was he truly a monster, or just a man broken by pain, whose madness gave fear a name? The forest kept that answer, and it never gives back what it takes. Some said he was a servant of Satan, others a victim of hysteria and superstition. But the legend outlived them all, because every village needs its beast, and every night needs its whisper. In old manuscripts beside his name, monks wrote a single line in Latin, Homo homini lupus est. Man is a wolf to man. Maybe it wasn't just a proverb. Maybe it was a warning. If you visit Bedberg today, you'll find only fields and the ruins of an old church. But locals still say that when the storm clouds gather, something moves in the trees. And when lightning strikes, for just an instant, you might see eyes bright as embers, reflecting a fire that never truly died. Peter Stumpp, the man who wanted to be a wolf, or perhaps the wolf who only pretended to be a man. In the end, is there really a difference? I will not die while the night still has a voice, and maybe the night still does. Subscribe to Dark Age Tales, where history never sleeps and never dies.